Alright, what's up guys? Today I'm gonna do a rant, but this time it's gonna be a rant on an individual episode of a TV show. And it is SpongeBob SquarePants, and the episode is called Face Freeze. Alright, there's plenty of things wrong about this episode that I'm gonna rant about throughout this video. Alright, so we first start out the episode of SpongeBob and Patrick eating lunch, then they both started faces and started laughing. That's entertaining. And Mr. Krabs hears them and says, "My money is getting flushed down the toilet," and goes warns them, like in Hooky, and says that this guy sticks out his tongue in front of everybody, and if he didn't stop doing that, that means his tongue will stay like that, and it did. And SpongeBob and Patrick promised to Mr. Krabs and to themselves that they're not going to make faces ever again. Again, like in Hooky. Then SpongeBob made a strange face, Patrick made another face, like a dolphin, and started making a noise. And right when I saw that, it didn't even look like a dolphin's face. And then whoa, I just... Then SB says, "Don't smile, that's like making a face." Come on, isn't it? They were frowning. And you don't think frowning it's like making a face too? So they don't make faces for a while until they started making faces again. And it's like a never-ending thing of nothing happening. They start making crazy faces. One face looked like a T, and one face looked like this and something else. And then Sandy comes by and says, "You two need help." Yeah, I couldn't say that any better, Sandy. And of course, they were in the camp. They were in a camp 5 feet away from their house. A rip off of the camping episode. And they were just turning on the flashlight and looking at their faces and laughing. Just like in the camping episode when they were looking at a magazine instead of their faces. So Squidward comes out and yells at them, just like in the camping episode, and says, "You know what? Why don't we play a different game, the quiet game?" And then, of course, SpongeBob and Patrick make a bet and say, "Hey, why don't you keep our faces frozen, and keep it like that for the rest of the night?" So they both fell asleep, and SpongeBob says, "Wow, Patrick, you actually did it." And Patrick's like, "Actually, I can't move my face." And of course, right after that, SpongeBob was like, "Sandy's right, we do need help." And of course, they go over to Sandy's instead of, I don't know, a fucking hospital. Alright, so when SpongeBob was at Sandy's house, she made the faces worse. What she did was she put Patrick's eyes down, she jabbed his jaw, like once in the earlier part, Patrick extended his jaw a little bit out, then Sandy just jabbed his jaw back right into his mouth. Oh, that gotta hurt. It's like a baseball hitting your face. And then he goes to SpongeBob, making the face even worse. And after that, SpongeBob goes to work. And SpongeBob says hello to Mr. Krabs with his face turned the other way. And Mr. Krabs got suspicious. Mr. Krabs then goes into the kitchen and says, "What's with your wrong posture?" and asks some questions, getting suspicious. Then SpongeBob's like, "I'm just doing my work." And then he's like, "Oh, you hear that noise? So it looks like somebody dropped the penny." And to Mr. Krabs' cheap self, he goes out and looks for the penny. Then SpongeBob was like, "Hey, Squidward, I finished the Krabby Patty." He's like, "I'm sorry, I'm on my break." Then SpongeBob goes out and sees Mr. Krabs still looking for the penny, looking in everybody's Krabby Patties. It's like, "Okay, good, I still have time." So SpongeBob puts the Krabby Patties on the table and goes back inside. And then Mr. Krabs got more suspicious and go back in there. And then after that, Patrick goes inside. And Mr. Krabs is like, "Oh, I know what you're doing. You've been making faces behind my back." And then Squidward comes, and then Mr. Krabs started making an angry face, and his face freezes. And Mr. Krabs keeps yelling at them. And Squidward comes in as well, and he started yelling at everybody. Then, of course, Squidward was doing nothing throughout the episode. He was innocent. He was out of the way. He wasn't doing anything. Well, except the part where he was yelling at SpongeBob and Patrick in a tent. Then all of a sudden he made a face and the face freezes. Alright, I find one problem with that. Squidward made an angry face at them before in the tent, and his face didn't freeze then, but why would it freeze when he was in the kitchen at the Krusty Krab? I didn't get that. I found way too many problems with that. Because if Squidward made an angry face at them before when you all got them in the tent, wouldn't Squidward's face freeze throughout the episode? I did not get that at all. How Squidward's face didn't freeze when he made an angry face at the tent, but making an angry face at them in the kitchen and he just froze. That didn't make any sense at all. All right, I've ranted long enough. This is Jovi1998 signing off.